Let me start by asking you a simple question. What does success look like to you? Take a moment to think about that, because the truth is, success isn't defined by the number of dollars in your bank account or the size of your house. It's defined by your mindset. The way you think, the way you approach challenges, and the way you view opportunities is what truly defines your success. The power of a success mindset cannot be overstated. It's the foundation for everything you will achieve, because the way you think determines the actions you take, and the actions you take create your reality. A success mindset is more than just thinking positively or wishing for good things to happen. It's about developing a belief system that empowers you to rise to any challenge, to see every setback as an opportunity for growth, and to understand that success isn't a destination, it's a journey. I've met many people who are incredibly talented, intelligent, and driven, but they struggle because they have a mindset that limits them. They focus on all the reasons why something won't work. They let self-doubt creep in, telling them they're not capable, not experienced enough, or that they don't have the resources to make it happen. These are the people who wait for the perfect moment to take action, or for everything to line up perfectly before they make their move. But here's the truth. There will never be a perfect moment. There will always be obstacles, uncertainty, and risk. The key is developing a mindset that allows you to embrace the uncertainty, to push through the fear, and to take action anyway. Think about it for a moment. Every successful person, every entrepreneur, every leader you admire has faced moments of doubt. They've had moments when they didn't know if their vision would become a reality, but the difference between them and others is how they think. Successful people don't wait for the world to validate their dreams. They believe in their vision even when others doubt them, and they act on it despite the risks. They approach life with the mindset that failure is just another part of the process, a stepping stone towards success, not a sign of defeat. A success mindset is all about cultivating resilience, the ability to get back up every time you fall. It's about believing that no matter what, you have the ability to figure things out, to learn from your experiences, and to keep moving forward. The more you develop this mindset, the more you realize that every obstacle is just an opportunity to grow stronger, to refine your approach, and to keep pushing toward your goals. But here's the key. You have to choose this mindset every day. You can't just rely on it when things are going well. You have to reinforce it daily, especially when things are tough. This doesn't mean you'll never face challenges. In fact, you should expect challenges. What it means is that when those challenges come, you will have the mental toughness to face them head on, with the confidence that you will overcome them. The success mindset isn't something that happens overnight. It's a habit you develop, a muscle you strengthen over time. It's not just about believing in your potential, but also about cultivating the discipline to take consistent action even when you don't feel like it or when things don't seem to be working out. It's about developing a deep belief that your goals are achievable no matter how big or how small they may seem. It's about telling yourself every single day that you are capable, worthy, and deserving of success. And this mindset doesn't just affect the way you approach your business or your career, it affects the way you approach every aspect of your life. It shapes your relationships, your health, and your personal growth. It's the driving force that keeps you moving forward when life tries to knock you down. It's the unwavering belief that no matter what happens, you are going to keep going. And that, my friends, is the mindset that leads to true success. When you cultivate this mindset, you begin to see the world differently. You start to see possibilities where others see problems. You start to see challenges as opportunities to learn and grow. You start to take responsibility for your results, understanding that the quality of your life is determined by the quality of your thinking and the actions you take. This is the foundation of a success mindset. Understanding that success is not about luck or timing, but about the thoughts you hold in your mind and the actions you take because of those thoughts. If you want to be successful, you must begin by changing the way you think about yourself, your potential, and your future. You must develop an unwavering belief that you are capable of achieving great things, no matter the obstacles in your way. Success is not something that happens to you, it's something that you create. with the thoughts you choose to believe, the actions you take, and the mindset you cultivate every single day. When you develop a success mindset, you become unstoppable. Every challenge becomes a stepping stone, every failure becomes a lesson, and every setback becomes a reason to keep going. And that's when the magic happens. When you start to realize that success isn't just something you dream about, it's something you create one mindset shift at a time. Overcoming limiting beliefs is one of the most powerful and transformative steps you can take on your journey towards success. These beliefs, whether consciously or unconsciously held, can restrict your potential, prevent you from taking action, and keep you stuck in a cycle of fear and self-doubt. Limiting beliefs are like invisible chains holding you back from the life you deserve. They are often formed early in life through experiences, words of others, or societal conditioning, and they dictate the way you approach challenges and opportunities. For a long time in my life, I carried around beliefs that weren't serving me. I believed that success was for other people, not someone like me. I thought that because I didn't come from a wealthy family or have a long list of influential connections, I couldn't make it. I was constantly questioning whether I was capable enough to create the life I envisioned. These thoughts held me back for far too long, preventing me from taking risks, pursuing my dreams, and stepping into my true potential. But one day I realized that these beliefs weren't based on reality. They were based on fears and assumptions that had no real power over me unless I allowed them to. One of the first steps to overcoming limiting beliefs is to recognize them. So often, these beliefs operate in the background of our lives, running on autopilot, controlling our actions without us even realizing it. Think about the times you've hesitated to take a step towards something you want, or when you've held back because you didn't feel good enough. That hesitation is often rooted in a limiting belief, perhaps the belief that you're not worthy, that you're too old or too young, or that you don't have enough experience to succeed. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that these beliefs are the truth, but the reality is they're simply stories we tell ourselves. These stories can feel real, but they don't have to control our future. Once I began to recognize my own limiting beliefs, I realized they were holding me back far more than I ever could have imagined. And that realization was liberating. It was the first step in breaking free from the prison I had unknowingly built for myself. The second step is to challenge these beliefs. Start by asking yourself, is this belief actually true? Most of the time you'll find that the answer is no. The belief that you're not good enough, that success is out of your reach, or that you need to wait for the perfect time is simply a story you've accepted as fact. Ask yourself, where is the evidence that supports this belief? And more importantly, where is the evidence that contradicts it? You'll be amazed at how quickly you can dismantle a limiting belief when you simply stop accepting it as truth. Once I started questioning my own beliefs, I realized that I had been operating under false assumptions for years. I began to notice how many opportunities I had passed up because I thought I wasn't ready or wasn't worthy. The truth is, none of us are ever fully ready in the traditional sense. Success doesn't come when everything is perfect or when you feel like you have all the answers. Success comes when you decide to take action, even in the face of uncertainty. It's when you step outside of your comfort zone, confront your fears, and refuse to let limiting beliefs define you. The next step is to replace these limiting beliefs with empowering ones. Instead of believing that you're not good enough, choose to believe that you are more than capable. Instead of thinking that success is for others, decide that success is available to you. It's important to remember that beliefs are not facts, they are choices. You have the power to decide what you believe about yourself and your future. And when you choose empowering beliefs, you change the entire trajectory of your life. For me, one of the most empowering beliefs I adopted was that failure is not something to fear, but something to embrace. I used to believe that failure was a reflection of my inadequacy, that if I failed, it meant I wasn't good enough. But I realized that failure is actually a gift. It's an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to improve. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than they can count. What sets them apart is not their lack of failure, but their ability to learn from it and keep going. This shift in thinking completely changed the way I approached challenges. Instead of avoiding risks out of fear of failure, I began to embrace failure as a necessary part of success. And when I did that, I was able to take bigger leaps, make bolder decisions, and move forward with confidence, knowing that every setback was simply a lesson in disguise. Another belief that I had to overcome was the idea that success required perfection. I believed that I had to have everything figured out, that I had to have the perfect plan in place before I could take action. But I soon realized that perfection doesn't exist, and waiting for the perfect moment only delays your progress. The reality is, you learn as you go. You improve as you take action. The key to success is not in having the perfect plan. It's in starting, adjusting as you learn, and moving forward despite the imperfections. It's important to remember that breaking free from limiting beliefs is a process. It takes time, patience, and commitment. But the more you challenge these beliefs, the more you replace them with empowering ones, the more your world begins to shift. You start to see new possibilities. You start to see opportunities where you once saw obstacles. And most importantly, you start to see yourself in a new light. You realize that you are capable of far more than you ever. The freedom that comes from overcoming limiting beliefs is priceless. It's the freedom to pursue your dreams without fear, to take bold action without hesitation, and to believe in your ability to achieve anything you set your mind to. It's the freedom to finally step into your full potential and create the life you truly deserve. And once you break free from those limiting beliefs, you'll never look back. You'll see that the life you once thought was out of reach was always within your grasp. It was just waiting for you to believe that you were worthy of it. Consistency is the unsung hero of success. It's easy to get excited at the start of a new venture. But the real challenge and the real power lies in the ability to keep going day in and day out, regardless of the obstacles you face. Consistency is what separates those who succeed from those who don't. It's the difference between a dream that stays a dream and one that becomes a reality. When you begin a new project or goal, the initial excitement can be electrifying. You have all the energy and passion to push forward, eager to make things happen. But as time goes on, that initial energy starts to fade. Life gets busy. Distractions pop up. Things don't go according to plan. And that's when most people give up. They expect success to come quickly, easily, and without effort. But the truth is, success is the result of consistent, focused effort over time. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. I've seen it firsthand in my own journey. There were countless times when I started something new and felt the rush of excitement, only to face setbacks and challenges along the way. There were moments when I wanted to quit, when I wondered if it was all worth it. But in those moments, I reminded myself that success wasn't about getting it right the first time. It was about showing up consistently, doing the work, and trusting that the results would follow. Consistency is more than just doing something every day. It's about being committed to the process, no matter how small the steps seem. Many people think that they need to take massive, life-changing action in order to see results. But the truth is, it's the small, consistent actions that accumulate over time that make the biggest difference. It's about doing the things that move you closer to your goals, even on the days when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, when the road seems difficult. The power lies in showing up every day, even when the results aren't immediately visible. Think of it like planting a tree. When you plant a seed, it doesn't grow overnight. At first, nothing happens. You water it, you nurture it, but you can't see any progress. But over time, as you continue to care for it, the tree begins to sprout. Little by little, you start to see the results of your consistent effort. Success is the same way. In the beginning, it might feel like nothing is happening. You may not see the fruits of your labor right away, and that's when most people give up. But if you stay consistent, if you keep going, even when it feels like nothing is changing, that's when you'll see the breakthrough. The beauty of consistency is that it builds momentum. Once you start showing up every day, it becomes easier and easier to keep going. The more you do something, the more natural it becomes. This is where discipline plays a huge role. You don't have to feel motivated every day to do the work. You just have to do it anyway. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. But discipline is what keeps you going when motivation fades. Discipline is what helps you stay on track even when it feels like the results aren't worth the effort. I'll never forget a time when I was working on a new project and I hit a huge roadblock. It felt like I was putting in hours of work, but the progress was so slow and it seemed like nothing was moving forward. There were moments when I thought about giving up and just walking away. But instead of letting frustration take over, I focused on what I could control, my consistency. I kept doing the small things every day. I kept moving forward, even if it was just a little bit each time. And you know what happened? That small, consistent effort eventually paid off. The results didn't come immediately, but over time, I saw the momentum build, and eventually the breakthrough came. It didn't come all at once, but it came because I kept showing up. Consistency is also about making small improvements each day. It's about getting 1% better every single day rather than focusing on perfection. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't exist. But incremental growth is real. It's the tiny, consistent improvements that over time compound into massive results. You don't need to be perfect to succeed. You just need to keep improving, one step at a time. This is where so many people get stuck. They think that success requires huge, dramatic changes. But in reality, it's about steady, consistent progress. Think of someone learning to play the piano. They don't become a virtuoso overnight. It's the daily practice, the repetition, and the gradual improvement that lead to mastery. Success works the same way. It's not about making giant leaps. It's about taking small, consistent steps, day after day. The most successful people I know are not the ones who take massive action once in a while. They're the ones who take consistent action every day, regardless of the circumstances. They understand that success is built on habits, and those habits are the result of consistent effort. Whether it's working out, building a business, or writing a book, it's the day in, day out commitment that makes all the difference. They don't wait for motivation. They create momentum through consistency. In fact, it's often the most mundane, routine actions that lead to the biggest breakthroughs. It's the 30 minutes of exercise each day that leads to better health. It's the 15-minute practice sessions that lead to musical mastery. It's the hours spent honing your craft day after day that lead to mastery in business. It's the dedication to showing up, even when it's hard, that leads to success. So if you're feeling discouraged because you haven't seen instant results, remember this: consistency is the key. It's the small, seemingly insignificant actions that, when done consistently, will lead to success. Don't be discouraged by slow progress. Keep showing up. Keep doing the work. The results will come, not in a rush, but in their own time, as the momentum you've built continues to grow. And when you look back, you'll realize that it wasn't the big moments that got you to where you are. It was the consistent, determined effort you put in day after day. The role of fear in success is often misunderstood. Fear is something that most people try to avoid, something they want to escape from as quickly as possible. But what if I told you that fear, in many ways, is one of the greatest allies you can have on your journey to success? Fear is not the enemy. It's the signal that you're stepping out of your comfort zone, that you're on the edge of something new and important. It's the moment when you're about to push through a boundary, to break free from what you've known, and to embrace something that will propel you forward in ways you never imagined. For many years, I believed that fear was something to be afraid of. I thought that if I was scared of something, it meant I wasn't ready for it, or that I wasn't cut out for it. Every time I felt fear, I would hesitate, second-guess myself, and often avoid doing the very thing I knew deep down would help me grow. But over time, I realized something that changed everything. Fear is not the enemy of success. Fear is the doorway to it. It's the indicator that you're about to grow, that you're about to take on something bigger than yourself, something that will stretch you and push you to new heights. I'll never forget a moment when I was faced with a huge opportunity. It was a chance to step onto a bigger stage to share my message with an audience that I knew could change the course of my life. But when I got the call, I was filled with an overwhelming sense of fear. I asked myself, what if I mess up? What if I'm not good enough? What if I fail? My mind flooded with all the reasons why I should back out. But in that moment, I realized that my fear wasn't a sign that I should quit. It was a sign that I should press on. It was a sign that this opportunity was going to challenge me, push me, and force me to grow in ways I hadn't even imagined. And that's when I made a choice. I would not let fear dictate my actions. Instead, I would use it as fuel to propel me forward. Fear often appears when we're on the verge of something big, when we're about to make a breakthrough or change the trajectory of our lives. It's not a coincidence that fear shows up when we're stretching ourselves beyond our current limitations. In fact, I've come to believe that fear is actually a gift. It's an invitation to step into the unknown, to take a risk, and to embrace the discomfort that comes with growth. The real question is not whether or not you will experience fear. It's what you do with it when it shows up. The most successful people I know don't let fear control them. They acknowledge it, they feel it, but they don't let it stop them. They've learned that fear doesn't go away. It's a constant companion on the journey to success. But instead of running from it, they lean into it, they face it head on and use it to fuel their actions. When fear shows up, they know that it's just a sign that they're on the verge of something important. They see it as a sign to push harder, not to back down. It's important to understand that fear isn't always a bad thing. In fact, fear can actually be a sign that you're on the right track. Think about the times when you've faced a challenge that seemed bigger than you, when you've pushed yourself into new territory, and that fear crept in. That fear wasn't a reflection of your inadequacy. It was a reflection of the size of the opportunity in front of you. The greater the fear, the greater the opportunity. When you feel fear, it's because you're about to do something significant. It means that you're stepping into a space where you can grow and achieve more than you ever thought possible. But fear doesn't just come from big life-changing decisions. Fear also appears in the small everyday moments when you're pushing yourself to take action, to try something new, to speak up, to share your ideas, or to pursue a new goal. Even the smallest steps toward growth can trigger fear. And this is where the power of pushing through fear really comes into play. It's the ability to keep going even when the fear feels overwhelming. It's the decision to take action, to move forward despite the uncertainty. And it's this willingness to keep moving forward despite the fear that separates those who succeed from those who don't. I've found that the more you face your fear and push through it, the less power it has over you. The first time you step into the unknown, fear can feel paralyzing, but once you take that first step, once you push through it, the next time it shows up, it's not as strong. Fear, when faced consistently, becomes less of an obstacle and more of a tool to sharpen your resilience and focus. Over time, you begin to realize that fear is just a signal that you're growing. It's a reminder that you're on the right track. One of the most important things to remember is that you don't have to conquer fear before you act. You just need to act in spite of it. This is the secret of success, taking action even when you feel fear. Don't wait for the fear to go away. It's not going to disappear. It's part of the process. What you have to do is make the decision to move forward regardless of how you feel. You'll never feel fully ready. You'll never feel fully confident. But what you can do is choose to act, knowing that the act of moving forward will diminish the power of fear and build your confidence with each step you take. Fear is also closely tied to failure. Most people fear failure because they see it as a sign that they're not good enough, that they're not capable, or that they're not worthy of success. But the truth is, failure is one of the most important lessons you can learn. It's through failure that you learn the most about yourself, about what works and what doesn't, and about how to adjust your approach. Fear of failure often paralyzes people and keeps them stuck. But when you embrace failure as part of the process, when you view it as a necessary step towards success, fear of failure loses its grip on you. It becomes just another part of the journey, not something to be afraid of. In the end, fear is not something to avoid, it's something to embrace. It's the fire that forges your character, the compass that guides you toward new opportunities. When you understand that fear is simply a sign that you're growing, you can shift your perspective and start using it to your advantage. Fear no longer holds power over you. Instead, you learn to use fear to push yourself further, to act with courage, and to take the steps necessary to achieve the success you've always dreamed of. And remember, every time you push through that fear, you become a stronger, more confident version of yourself. Fear doesn't stand in your way. It stands as the gateway to your next level of success. The ability to maintain a growth mindset is one of the most critical factors in achieving lasting success. The difference between those who thrive and those who struggle often comes down to how they perceive challenges, setbacks, and failures. A growth mindset is the belief that you can learn, improve, and develop over time through effort, learning, and perseverance. It's the understanding that your abilities and intelligence are not fixed traits, but can be cultivated with hard work and dedication. The beauty of a growth mindset is that it empowers you to continuously evolve, to take on new challenges with enthusiasm, and to see failure not as a final defeat, but as a stepping stone to greater achievements. For years, I held on to the belief that success was something reserved for those who were naturally gifted or who had an innate talent. I thought that certain people had it all figured out and that others, like me, would always struggle to reach those levels of excellence. That belief that my potential was limited by my current abilities kept me stuck. But as I began to learn more about success and the stories of those who achieved incredible things, I realized that the difference wasn't innate talent, it was mindset. I've encountered countless successful people who weren't necessarily the smartest, the most talented, or the most experienced. What they had was an unshakable belief that they could improve, that they could learn new skills, that they could overcome obstacles by adopting a mindset of growth. They didn't see themselves as limited by their current circumstances or abilities. They saw every challenge as an opportunity to learn, grow, and get better. And it was this mindset that allowed them to push through the difficulties and continue progressing toward their goals, even when the road ahead seemed uncertain. One of the key elements of a growth mindset is the ability to embrace challenges. People with a growth mindset understand that challenges are not something to be avoided or feared. They are opportunities to improve. When you face a challenge, you don't shrink back or look for a way around it. Instead, you face it head on with the belief that you have the ability to learn and adapt. You see challenges as the training ground for your success. Each obstacle is a lesson waiting to be learned, a problem waiting to be solved. And when you approach challenges with this mindset, you begin to see every setback as a temporary situation that will pass, a bump in the road on the way to greater things. The challenges we face in life are not there to break us, they are there to shape us. I can recall so many moments in my own journey where I hit roadblocks, where I faced setbacks, and where things seemed impossible. Early on, I would get discouraged and feel like I wasn't good enough, like I didn't have what it took to succeed. But over time, I learned to shift my thinking. I began to see those moments of adversity as opportunities to grow. I began to ask myself, what can I learn from this? How can I use this challenge to become better? And as soon as I reframed those situations with a growth mindset, the roadblocks no longer seemed insurmountable. Instead, they became stepping stones, each one helping me move closer to my ultimate goal. Failure is another critical component of the growth mindset. Most people view failure as something negative, something to be avoided at all costs. But when you have a growth mindset, failure is not a reflection of your inadequacy. It's simply feedback. Every time you fail, you're given the opportunity to learn, to analyze what went wrong, and to make the necessary adjustments. In fact, the most successful people are those who have failed the most. They understand that failure is not the end of the road, but a valuable learning experience that helps them improve and get closer to their ultimate goals. I've failed more times than I can count, and each time I had to make a choice. I could let the failure define me, or I could use it as a lesson. The people who succeed are the ones who choose to learn from their failures, not the ones who give up after they stumble. The truth is, you'll never get it right all the time, but every time you try, you gain experience that will take you one step closer to success. With a growth mindset, failure becomes something you embrace, something you seek out as part of your process for growth. The more you fail, the more you learn, and the more you grow. Another core principle of the growth mindset is the belief that effort leads to improvement. People with a growth mindset understand that success doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of consistent, focused effort over time. When you adopt this mindset, you stop expecting instant results. Instead, you focus on the process, the daily work, the continuous improvement, the small victories along the way. This shift in thinking is incredibly powerful because it frees you from the unrealistic pressure of expecting overnight success. It allows you to take pride in the process, knowing that every step forward, no matter how small, is progress. I've seen this principle play out in my own life time and time again. There were moments when I felt like I wasn't making progress, when it seemed like the effort I was putting in wasn't yielding the results I wanted. But then I'd look back and realize that each day I showed up, each day I worked hard was making a difference, even if it wasn't immediately visible. Over time, those small, consistent efforts compounded into real results. The key was staying committed to the process, knowing that every bit of effort would eventually lead to growth. A growth mindset also requires a willingness to challenge your own beliefs and assumptions. It's about being open to new ideas, being willing to adapt, and being ready to unlearn things that no longer serve you. The people who succeed are those who are constantly challenging themselves to be better, to think differently, and to push beyond their comfort zones. They're not afraid to question the way they've always done things and are open to adopting new strategies and techniques. This willingness to evolve, to change, and to grow is what separates the most successful individuals from the ones who remain stagnant. Finally, a growth mindset is about resilience. It's about having the strength to keep going even when things get tough. Life is filled with obstacles, setbacks, and challenges. But people with a growth mindset don't let those challenges break them. They use them as opportunities to build resilience and grow stronger. They understand that success isn't about avoiding adversity. It's about facing it head on and using it as a catalyst for growth. The power of a growth mindset is undeniable. It empowers you to approach life's challenges with optimism, to embrace failure as part of the learning process, and to continually improve and grow no matter where you start. When you believe that your abilities are not fixed but can be developed, you open up endless possibilities for your future. You realize that you are not limited by what you've done in the past, but by what you are willing to learn and grow into in the future. The choice is yours. Choose growth, choose progress, and choose to continue evolving into the best version of yourself.